What's going on, guys? So we're going to find out what would happen if the NHL playoffs started today. And by today, I just mean when the NHL finally comes back, if they just use the standings as they are today. Now, for this, I was trying to, decide, do I just use the standings as they are? Do I go with, a points per game? As some teams have more games played than others. So what I ended up deciding now was just to leave the standings as they are, except for the 8th and 9th seed. Those two teams will actually play against each other in a one-game winner-take-all series to get that 8th and final spot in the playoffs. Reason being, if you look at the East, you'll see Columbus has 2 more games played than the Islanders, but they are 1 point higher. So there could be an argument made that the Islanders have better points per game. Another argument, that Columbus has more points. Islanders aren't necessarily going to get those points just because, your current record is what it is. Doesn't mean you're going to keep on that same pace. So I feel like that was the most fair thing. The Rangers, unfortunately, they're close, but not close enough. And then same goes in the West. Nashville, Vancouver actually had the exact same amount of points in the exact same amount of games. And I think Nashville right now just has slightly more regulation wins by 1, giving them that slight lead. So I feel like they definitely need to have a tiebreaker game. Unfortunately for Minnesota, not quite close enough. And I guess if we were going to do this, you'd probably give the 8th seed the home ice advantage. Although by the time the NHL comes back, they might still just be playing in empty arenas. Who knows? But where you guys can actually see this one-game elimination to make it into the playoffs. Nashville, Vancouver, Columbus, Islanders. So I'm just going to use the playoff mode for this. I figured it was the easiest way. And then, of course, once we have the 2 winners, we'll actually set up that playoff bracket. So we're going to get started here. This is Vancouver versus Nashville. We'll just simulate to the next game, see what happens. And Vancouver actually wins it, 3-2 there. Brandon Sutter with a hat trick. So the dude wanted to play some playoff hockey. I respect that a lot. Now we have the Islanders and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll see what happens there. And the winner is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, they actually won their game 4-1, so big win there for Columbus. Curious as well to see if anyone had a big game for them. Nick Foligno, captain, getting it done there with 3 points. Okay, so respect that. Again, that just means Vancouver will be the 8th seed in the West, and Columbus will be the 8th seed in the East. And real quick, guys, I want to thank Raycon for sponsoring this video. They actually sent me a pair of their everyday E25 earbuds. Worked out really well, as I've been wanting to try a pair of wireless earbuds, but I thought all the ones on the market were pretty expensive. These ones are actually about half the price, so highly recommend them for that reason alone. Also, I'll just kind of show you guys what's inside. As you open it up there, you have the charging case. They actually last 24 hours with this. I think it's 4 charges, 6 hours each charge. Below that, you actually have different sizes, so they should fit your ears perfectly. And I saw, too, that Ray J was actually a co-founder, and our favorite NHL 20 announcer, Snoop Dogg, is actually a big fan of these. So I just thought that was a pretty cool similarity. And like I was mentioning before, guys, right here is the charging case. Inside, of course, is the earbuds. Blue light there just means they're charged up. I actually got the classic black, but they come in a variety of different colors. And as you can see, not very big at all. You put them in the ear, very discreet. They don't stick out at all. Also, too, they're really good for noise isolation. They fit snug right in your ear. I'm not sure if you guys have flown before. There's always like a hum on the airplane, and I felt like these helped out a lot with that. And like I mentioned before, guys, the earbuds I have in right now are their latest model, the E25s, with even more bass. And I use these quite a bit when traveling through Europe, so I feel like I can vouch for them and say the sound quality is just as good as other top audio brands. Again, big fan of these. If you guys want to get a pair of your own, there's a link in the description. You'll actually get 15% off using that link. They're already like half the price of other high-quality wireless earbuds. With the extra 50% off, I feel like they're definitely worth getting. So hopefully you give these a try. Now, let's get back to the video. So right here, guys, I look at the playoff bracket. Honestly, I think there's some really good matchups here. On the West, you got Vegas, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, Battle of Alberta. That's going to be awesome. St. Louis, Vancouver, then Colorado, Dallas. In the East, Tampa, Toronto should be really good. Boston, Columbus. Pittsburgh, Philly, you got the Battle of Pennsylvania, good rivalry there. And you actually have a rematch from last year, Washington, Carolina in the first round. Forgot to mention too, I've actually gone through and edited all the teams' lines to try and make them as authentic as possible. As well, I made sure to look at different player injuries to see whether or not they would be back in time. Assuming these playoffs don't get started till May, a lot of guys injured right now should actually be back in time when it starts. I'm thinking guys like Stamkos, Tarasenko, Gensel should actually be able to play the entire playoffs. So I made sure to check the injury report. Just keep that in mind. You're looking at who's scoring stuff like that. But like I said, I really like the matchups here. So obviously it's the most authentic settings, full sim, best of 7, continuous OT, superstar, all that good stuff. And I'm thinking what I'll do here is just sim every single game 1, show you guys what happened, then game 2, game 3, and so on. So let's get started. Now, because there's so many games in the first round, I actually decided just to sim the first couple. As you can see, Marchand went off, 7 points in 2 games, currently up 2-0 on the Blue Jackets. Rest of the East, though, are tied 1-1. Calgary actually getting the better of Edmonton, up 2-0. Same with St. Louis. Other 2 Western Conference series are currently tied. So I'll send the next couple here and see if we get any sweeps. And look at this, guys. We did all that work for the playing games to have the 8 and 9 seed fight for the final wildcard spot. Both Vancouver and Columbus get swept. So looks like it did not matter. And looking at the rest of the series there, you can see everybody's tied right now 2-2, except for Washington up 3-1. Dallas actually up 3-1. I would have definitely taken Colorado in that series. Marchand finished 11 points in 4 games there. So absolutely tore up Columbus. And I just simmed a couple more games. As you can see in the West, every single series is over except for Vegas, Winnipeg going to Game 7. Calgary beat Edmonton in 6 there. Dallas beat Colorado in 5. So we'll actually sim this game here in the West, see what happens. And Winnipeg, big upset against Vegas, beating them in 7. In the East, Washington did finish off Carolina in 5. Tampa took Toronto in 6, and we currently have Pittsburgh Philly going to Game 7. This would be a great one for sure. Surprised, Battle of Alberta didn't make it to 7 games. See what happens. And Pittsburgh actually wins that one 4-3. I totally forgot to mention too, guys. At the beginning, I was actually giving my predictions on what I thought was going to happen. Although, because it's a sim, obviously, predictions are kind of meaningless. But I was going to say how what I'd like to see happen is Pittsburgh versus Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final. So we have Crosby versus McDavid. I feel like that would kind of make up for missing so much hockey. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Edmonton there, gone the first round. So second round here, we have Winnipeg versus Calgary, St. Louis, Dallas, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Boston, Tampa Bay. Again, I'll send the first couple, see where we're at. So 2 games in the second round, guys. Winnipeg's leading Calgary 2-0. Didn't even realize, actually, in the Pacific part of the bracket, both underdog teams won. St. Louis leading Dallas 2-0. Have yet to lose in the playoffs, so defending Cup champs looking pretty good. Pittsburgh, Washington tied 1-1. That'd be a great series, obviously. Crosby versus Ovi. And then Boston, Tampa also 1-1. Arguably the 2 best teams in the East. Honestly, I think they probably are. So some really good series there. Marchand's still killing it. 15 points right now in 6 games. Almost averaging 3 points a game. Like, that's insane. And so after swinging a couple more games, we have 2 sweeps in the Western Conference. Winnipeg sweeping Calgary. St. Louis sweeping Dallas. St. Louis has still not dropped a playoff game. Pittsburgh, Washington tied 2-2. You knew that one was probably going to go 7. And then Boston's currently leading Tampa 3-1. So I don't know. It's not looking good for Tampa. I guess I'll actually just show you guys kind of the rest of these games here. So Pittsburgh's up 3-2 on Washington. And Boston does close out Tampa in 5. So now we're just waiting on Washington, Pittsburgh. Marchand still killing it there. And going to Game 7, we knew it was going to happen. Crosby versus Ovi, Game 7. I think we got to watch this one. Crosby versus Ovi. I was just going to let that go, but I mean, we got to see what happens here. So, first period, we get a goal from Oshie. Second period, goal from Crosby. And it's going to OT. Who's the Ovechkin, of course. I feel like you had to know both Crosby and Ovi were going to score that game. So, I want to show you guys what the conference final matchups are looking like now. We have St. Louis, Winnipeg in the West, Washington, Boston in the East, so this should be pretty good. Again, send a couple games for you guys and see where we're at. I honestly can't believe this. After 2, St. Louis is up 2-0 on Winnipeg. They're 10-0. Like, they're 10-0 in the playoffs. Washington as well, up 2-0 on Boston. I feel like there's no way they sweep Boston, but you never know. And before I send this 4th game, guys, look at this. St. Louis is up 3-0 on Winnipeg. 1 game away from the sweep. I wanted to show you, though, Scheifele actually passed Marchand in scoring. 19 points there in 14 games. I think Winnipeg does have a lot more games played, but still pretty impressive. And Winnipeg, they get the win. St. Louis gets their first loss. That's kind of crazy. Washington, so potential series here. Both teams just need one more win. St. Louis closes it on Winnipeg. Can Boston do this? Or sorry, can Washington do the same here against Boston? They cannot. Boston's fighting, but there we go in Game 6. So we have a St. Louis Blues, a Washington Capitals, Stanley Cup final. Ovi there, now the playoff scoring leader, 23 points in 18 games. Pretty nuts. Let's actually take a quick look here. As we know, like, obviously it's going to end up being a Washington Capital or St. Louis Blues, but I just want to kind of see how everybody's doing. Ovi, Kuznetsov both tearing it up. Tarasenko, 21-13, back from injury, killing it. Scheifele was doing good. Same with Marchand there, as well as Bergeron. Both had 19. Pasternak, so that top line for Boston just doing unreal. Really, no, 2 surprising names here. Wanted to take a quick look at goaltending as well. Binnington's 12-1 right now, .938 and a 1.82. This dude is just going God mode again. The playoffs. Can St. Louis pull off back-to-back Cup wins? What's his poise? 95. The dude's ice cold. That's why he's doing so well in the playoffs. Holtby, though, 12-4, still pretty good, .922. So this should be a good playoff matchup. I'm thinking for this one, we'll actually simulate period by period because we kind of get an idea what's going on. This will be awesome to watch. Washington actually up 2-1 right now. I'm wondering who's got the home ice advantage here. It's 3-2 for Washington. They put this one out 6-2. So I'm not positive, but I think because Washington's on the right side, it means they're the home team. Real life, it would be St. Louis, but again, the game has no idea like the regular season points for these teams when we put them in the playoffs. Here we go, though. St. Louis, 2 goals. Bozak, Tarasenko. They get another one there from Parayko. And another one from Parayko. So 4-1. So far, good series. Tied up 1 apiece. 1-1. I don't know who we bet on. Like, these are the 2 last teams to win the Cup as well, which is pretty amazing. Binnington's ice cold. You got Ovechkin. Does St. Louis go back-to-back? Does Ovi get his 2nd Cup? Like, this would be a great series, honestly. And let's see. Wow. Carlson down Jensen. Big second period. St. Louis fights back. Unfortunately, not quite enough. So Washington currently does have the 2-1 series lead here. And this is the big game, I feel like. You have the chance to make it 3-1 or a chance to tie the series. Game 4 is huge. 2-0 for St. Louis, 3-1 for St. Louis, and they actually finished it off 4-2. So they got done what they needed to, tied the series up. This has been a really good one so far. Ovechkin's continuing to produce 26 points there in 22 games. See what happens game number 5. It's another pivotal game. 2-2. Let's see. Kovalchuk getting it done. Forgot he was actually on Washington. It's been so long. It's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like so much longer since we've had hockey. Probably because, too, I wasn't able to follow it as much when I was in Europe. But there we go. 5-2 win for Washington. 1 game away right now from Ovechkin's 2nd Stanley Cup. That'd be pretty amazing, but Blues going back-to-back would also be pretty amazing. Game 6. And 2-1 for Washington. Kuznetsov, Backstrom. 4-2. Not looking good for St. Louis. Let's see if they can, pull off a miracle comeback. 3rd period. Not quite. Bozak gets 1. Wilson, Eller. Washington wins it 6-3. Ovechkin gets his 2nd cup in 3 years. That is pretty amazing. So that Stanley Cup champions there, Washington Capitals. And as you can see, Ovi finished with 29 points, 24 games. I'd assume he probably wins the Conn Smythe. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you. I don't know Holtby. Let's see how Holtby's stats were. If they were pretty good, it might be him. 16-6, 0.92, 2.49. I feel like no way the NHL could resist and giving it to Ovechkin, though. Like, they'd have to. Kuznetsov also at 29, though, but Ovi a bit more goals. 4 game-winning goals as well. I think it's safe to say Ovechkin's taking home the Conn Smythe. Carlson, 27. So, yeah, the 3 big players on Washington all showed up. Tarasenko, 26-19 is pretty nuts. Scheifele didn't even play the final. Still had 5th most points, so gotta respect that. But that's gonna be it, guys, for this video. I'll give you kind of one final look here at that playoff bracket. Honestly, looking at this, I feel like it's not unrealistic at all. So if we do have a St. Louis Washington Stanley Cup final, that'd be kind of crazy if EA did predict it. But that's gonna be it, guys, for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long for hockey to be back. And I'm very curious to see what they do. Do they jump right into the playoffs? Play some games first? I saw they were actually asking players, and obviously the guys who are in the playoffs just want to go right into it. Other guys want to have a few games. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But in the meantime, hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.